What really even constitutes as healthy food?
Two things. One is cutting out the usual culprits, so be it a bad oil or refined food or preservatives, and then adding stuff which we generally miss out, like protein, micronutrients, vitamins, and other stuff.
Why has this historically been, in your opinion, such a tiny category, Rahul? What's changed recently?
So before we go deeper, one thing I qualify is the fact that taste is what matters. If you can't get same taste as a regular food, I think most Indians will struggle, or you will see adoption being a challenge and category remaining small. You can't be 9 out of 10 in taste, you have to be 10 out of 10 in taste. The first biggest driver I would say is awareness. What happened with post-COVID, even during COVID, people became more and more aware. They wanted to improve their lifestyle. You look at the number of health searches on ChatGPT, close to 50% of queries are around health. People are so aware that they want to Google every ingredient that they are consuming.
Today, like you're saying, protein everybody knows, but can there be another protein of 2030?
One possible theme is around gut health itself. You can think of probiotic drinks, you can think of fermented snacking. In fact, there is this company in US called Olipop, which is giving a run for money to Coke and other carbonated beverages with the probiotic drink itself. Do you think by 2030, instead of regular water, we'll be drinking protein water?
I think.
Hi folks, welcome back to 2030 Consumer. At Stellaris, in this podcast, our job is to decode how Indians live, eat, shop, and more importantly, how they will live, eat, shop going forward in future. Idea is not to dissect last quarter's data, but hopefully predict fundamentally how people, will snack, exercise, change their lifestyle. And in today's episode, our plan is to discuss healthy foods, and as well as what changes will Indians make in improving their lifestyle. As I think we all know, there is a massive shift underway as far as health is concerned, and the easiest example is in our office itself, where we serve almonds and fruits in form of snacks. And the young folks in our team have taken it to the next level. Our pantry is full of protein bars. I'm sure if Shashank of Whole Truth is listening, there are a lot of ambassadors, including Shreyan, for his different offerings. So welcome Shreyan on the pod.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Rahul. And I can't think of a better time with New Year and people's New Year 2026 goals right around the corner for healthy foods and behaviors as a category.
Yeah, and maybe let me start with a big question, Shreyan. Do you think by 2030, instead of regular water, we'll be drinking protein water?
I won't even be surprised if there's a deep tech company which has infused protein in air by 2030, Rahul.
Possible.
But jokes aside, Rahul, what really even constitutes as healthy food?
See, two things, right? One is cutting out the usual culprits, so be it a bad oil or refined food or preservatives, and then adding stuff which we generally miss out, depending on dietary preferences, things like protein, micronutrients, vitamins, and other stuff. So yeah, a combination of these two I would qualify as a healthy food.
Interesting. So does that mean that eating out and ordering in, really the myth that that's unhealthy isn't really true? Because if you remove, let's say, the aspect of too much oil or, fried food, then really ordering in also isn't unhealthy really.
Yeah, so see, if you look at Zomato's healthy mode, right, the idea is for the consumer to become more aware of the ingredients that have gone behind cooking that dish. So at that time, consumer can take a choice, and by exposing it, I'm assuming kitchens will also become more conscious that they need to produce more healthy food.
Interesting.
And see, in addition, there is the supply side also, which is what takes 5 days to reach consumer shelf, you can do it in 2 days or 1 day, like farm to fork situation, right? Or improvement of supply chain. That also keeps the quality of the food that we produce in farms much fresher, and is more healthier for the customers.
Interesting. So now that we've covered what's unhealthy and what's healthy, why has this historically been, in your opinion, such a tiny category, Rahul? What's changed recently?
So before we go deeper, I think one thing I do want to qualify, and we will go deeper there again later on, is the fact that taste is what matters. So if you can't get same taste as a regular food, I think most Indians will struggle, or you will see adoption being a challenge and category remaining small. So you have to go 10. You can't be 9 out of 10 on taste. You have to be 10 out of 10 on taste. And that is when you add then the drivers that can hopefully propel this category into a large outcome later. So the first biggest driver I would say is the whole awareness itself. What happened with post-COVID, even during COVID, people became more and more aware. They wanted to improve their lifestyle. And then post that, again, social media is other big channel out there. You look at the number of health searches. I think on ChatGPT, like close to 50% of queries are around health. If people are so aware that they want to Google every ingredient that they are, consuming. I would say the second driver is around convenience as a culture. And there are a couple of things. One is there are products which are, let's say a bar on the go that you can eat, or packaged food, but also something that is part of your lifestyle. Like you like to eat ice cream. You know it is full of sugar. But then you have, a lot of these zero sugar ice creams, which kind of gets you the exactly same taste, but more healthier. So you're not saying that I'll cut down on ice cream.
Got it. And I think the third factor, obviously apart from just awareness as well as convenience, is just rising ability of customers to spend. So especially on the premium side, we've seen things pick up, right? Like Whole Truth is picking up, and more, let's say, higher price products are picking up because people are okay with paying, let's say, 10-15% premium if they get a healthier product.
True. In fact, the other piece is this fitness awareness. I have a 16-year-old, and for the last 2-3 years, I've been telling him to go out and play. But his favorite hangout place as his friend is the gym itself.
I can actually vouch for that, Rahul. Like social media, obviously now people, post pictures of themselves in the gym, and that's actually the new cool thing to do. But apart from that, anecdotally, like I've joined this new gym and literally 6 months into that gym start, it's already at like 150% capacity. It's starting its new branch, and you see this fitness awareness in many different places. You now have bhag clubs that are more popular than nightclubs, I would say. Right? You have people who are going to pickleball instead of dinners because that's more healthy. So across the board, I think can vouch for the fact that fitness awareness is rising.
And this what this means is that people are becoming more proactive versus being reactive.
So Rahul, we've covered the demand side aspects. Do you think supply has also risen consequently?
No, definitely. In fact, that's the most interesting part, that there are so many founders who are coming up with innovative ideas, brands that are built on concept of transparency, right? They'll tell you how much sugar they have, do they have flavors, no flavors, artificial flavors, and so on. In fact, so much so that these brands are actually giving run for money to the existing FMCG company. You have somebody like a Health Factory, which is against a Harvest or a Modern. You have Epigamia, which is against Amul. And now these larger giants have to react. Like Amul has this protein milk, and now there are people coming with protein curd and so on.
Yeah. Actually, the interesting part about this is that these brands maybe 5-6 years ago could not have come up. It's because of quick commerce that they're even able to prop up. Because earlier, you couldn't just start off with offline channels like general trade and modern trade. Now what today can happen is that as a new age innovator brand, you can list on quick commerce, become, let's say, 100-200 crores large, and then you have capability to bargain with offline stores and actually expand distribution. I know that the Whole Truth did this, like where they've reached multiple hundreds of crores and growing 20% month on month, entirely being online. Health Factory, the bread brand, was built, I think, about 200 crores of annualized revenue just on top of quick commerce. So that's, I think, what's changed a lot.
Yeah, and I think what has also happened is founders have also realized that if they can get the price point right, certainly the volume of the market goes up. So like protein bars, I think it was like 150 rupees or 200 rupees per bar. Now there are people at 50 to 100 rupees price point. Energy drinks again, right? Under 40 rupees price point. So by making products more affordable, the TAM also has gone up significantly. And again, coming back to the taste point, earlier I would say the big innovation, like earlier taste was still a compromise. Today, the innovation is that these founders and these companies now have been able to perfect their taste. And hence, when consumer is consuming that product, they don't feel any compromise.
Yep.
versus what they used to eat earlier. So Shreyan, as we move forward and try to reimagine 2030, right? There are some changes which are like we can see it today, right? Like this whole awareness around protein, availability of better for you products. But what beyond that?
Exactly. So, some of these changes are very obvious in today's day, but if we, crystal ball gaze to 2030, there are still so many white spaces and so many opportunities which you can build upon. So, at least I have tried to segment it by, let's say, 6 major segments. These are namely, firstly, by ingredient. Secondly, you can innovate on form factor. Third is maybe there are different occasions that you can play on. Maybe snacking today, but whole foods and proper meals tomorrow. Then it's areas of origin. So, North snacks maybe has been captured, but maybe South Indian snacks is something you can do. Fifth is price segment. And the last is then temperature. Maybe frozen foods is something that's untapped. So we'll cover all of these one by one. But I think the first and most interesting one, at least in my opinion, is ingredients, right? Like today, like you're saying, protein, everybody knows. But can there be another protein of 2030? Another hero ingredient? What do you think?
No, possible. And obviously, we can't imagine everything, but like one possible theme is around gut health itself, right? The whole probiotic and then prebiotic, concept, and then building product around it. So if you see like better gut is equal to better immunity. We can think of probiotic drinks. We can think of fermented snacking. In fact, there is this company in US called Olipop, which is giving a run for money to Coke and other, carbonated beverages with the probiotic drink itself.
Interesting. And actually, I've also seen maybe a second ingredient or a second theme that can come up in ingredient innovation, which is mood boosting. So imagine these are like, multivitamin cookies or, mood improvement shots or electrolyte water. So these are also things that have propped up a lot in the US. Like there's a brand called Liquid IV again, which I think was a multiple $100 million acquisition by Unilever, and this was in the mood improvement drink. कि आप एक shot लो and then you can basically it's a healthier energy drink, so to speak. Yeah, and apart from this, I think a third theme as I was going through global examples was also focusing on beauty as an outcome. So imagine collagen, let's say, as a core ingredient, and this has come up in Japan, Korea, and the likes, where brands are built around if you eat this, then your skin will improve. So it becomes part of your regimen that way. Any other ingredients?
Yeah, no, see, and if you come back to India, right, there are so many of Indian ingredient-based products that one could think of, like, haldi has been big. If you see, Mosaic has this, Shilajit gummies, but we can expand this like, a jawar bar, or we used to eat these dried amlas when I was a kid, but put it in a package form, an amla gummy, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these things could be very interesting plays on, things that we have been known to eating, but now provided in a more modern format.
Actually, the last point brings about another theme which we were talking about, which is the second vector of innovation can actually be form factor. Today we are used to maybe chips or chocolates, but what if we think about things like sachets, gummies, etc. as new form factors? One example which is very interesting, as you had given, is Shilajit gummies with Mosaic. But another example that comes to mind is the Good Bug, which had sachets, which you can put in even water or just consume normally, and that improves your gut health.
No, and see, there are actually interesting consumer insights, because the when you use could actually depend on the form you have. So like if you're going to a gym, a sachet makes very good sense. There are stuff that you can say, how do I make it the right size to eat with a meal? So it is something that goes into the atta, and then it is made, the roti is made with that maybe micronutrients induced into atta, right? Again, travel is another use case. If you want adherence, then you want travel. While you're traveling, you want to make sure that, again, these are pouches that you can carry around.
Yeah.
Or even form factor like, we talked about bars and all, chocolates. So there are different form factors that are possible. But finally, you have to give it in a consumer that makes it convenient for them to use at that point of time.
Interesting. And one example that's also coming to mind, even globally again, there's a brand called Ollie in the US, which had like stress gummies or multivitamin gummies, which also blew up. I think that again got acquired by Unilever. So it just shows that India can also make such innovations.
So third vector is around occasions itself. Most of the food or the healthy food today is around snacking, but one can also over future think of full meals, interesting beverages, desserts that are healthy. I think that those are other ways to cut this space.
Got it.
In fact, I had invested in ID about 10-12 years back, and from then on, this thesis on ready to cook meal has been very interesting. Basically, these are ingredients. So, like the way you have. So that was more batter, which took like hours to make. But today, quick is very important. So, like a 3-minute Maggi, you have very similarly ready to eat poha, ready to eat, or ready to cook poha, ready to cook upma, and so on. Those could be other form factors which can almost be like full meals, packaged with ingredients, and then you cook it, and it comes out healthy.
Got it. And apart from even just the normal full meals, I think the number of occasions in which we eat food are also rising. So today, if you have shakes, let's say, that means that you are eating 5 meals or 6 meals in a day versus just the traditional 3. So it creates scope to make, let's say, ready to cook or ready to make smoothies, for instance, which are packed in all of these nutrients that you're currently deficient in. And when you were talking about full meals, actually, again, another US example, because, India, as we know, is just often replicating global economies, comes to mind, which is this brand called Lean Cuisine. This is actually a Nestle brand, which is very famous in the US. And it has all of these seemingly unhealthy foods like pizza and pasta, but they've healthified it and they've made them frozen food. So they are also literally ready to cook. And they're household names in the US. I think they're doing north of $1 billion of revenue. So we can think about new ways to innovate in the full meals category for sure. The fourth vector of innovation, Rahul, can actually be expanding to new regional foods or regional snacks. And some of this innovation has happened, Some brands are doing this in bits and pieces, but I think there's so much untapped category on what we can in new regions unlock.
No, true. And in fact, you remember Sweet Karam Coffee, amazing founders, basically building South Indian snacks to whole of India with no palm oil, no preservatives, and so on. Now, that is one example, but India has so many regional foods. If one can figure out a way to package it in the right format and bring it in the healthy format and in a healthy manner, I think each region could be potentially $1 billion outcome snacking company that can be built out there.
Absolutely. And it's maybe not just limited to different 4 regions or multiple regions of India. Maybe we can think about bringing great healthy global foods into India. So in the US again, these Japanese rice cakes have become very popular. They're like low carb, high in nutrition diets. And again, on the go. So you can think about what trends of foods are propping up or snacks are propping up globally and bring some of those innovations into India.
Very true. And then the fifth factor I would say is price point. Clearly, we talked about a price point. There is a price point that Whole Truth was at. Then came Super U, which is the next level price point. Now one can think of a price point below that as well. Because for every price point, there is a different segment of consumer who's willing to take it up. And not everybody wants exactly the same amount of protein. People are okay as long as it meets their budget. Yeah. So one can think of building brands with same value prop, but with different price points as well. And obviously distribution has to be different, positioning has to be different. But that's another interesting piece I feel, can be exploited in future.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Rahul, that maybe protein bars, let's say, started out as 150 rupees or more. Then they've now come to between 50 to 100. But I think the real unlock will be that in everyday GT, if it's available at say 20, 30, 40 rupees. Because what that's doing is basically today we have massified it from the first or top 10 million users to let's say top 30 or 40 million users in India. But the real unlock comes when you go to the masses, the next hundreds of millions of people who you can provide all of these ingredients to. And maybe the last vector of innovation that we can cover, and we have covered in bits and pieces, is maybe foods which are differing by temperature. So we've currently largely talked about packaged foods, but there's so much scope in, let's say, chilled foods or frozen foods. Because, and this is coming from my own experience, when I went to Europe, right? Every modern trade shop literally had like a chilled snack or a chilled wrap that you can just eat on the go. But people have traditionally only been used to well cooked meals. But maybe quick commerce is changing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have a proper cold supply chain which can open up all of these low cost, high convenience opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. And what this discussion says is that future is not just one trend. There are multiple. We talked about 6 vectors, and clearly, while we have talked about these 6 vectors, not as if every company is only going to be in one vector. Finally, the solution has to be in combination of 2 or 3 of these vectors, be it occasion, pricing, format, origin, and so on. But interesting, at least I'm quite bullish about what healthy food can do or can build out in future. Shreyan, we have only till now talked about healthy food, which in my mind is like a silo. If we zoom out, what I think is happening is there's a bigger force that is shaping up our behavior, which is all about longevity. As in, consumers or everybody wants to live longer and live healthier lives, right? So that is something that I find very exciting, and hopefully can create some very large business opportunities as well.
And you're absolutely right, Rahul. When you're trying to be healthier, it's not just the food itself that matters. What matters is maybe the timing at which you eat it. What matters is whether you're sleeping well when you're doing it, whether you're exercising at the right time. So what it needs is actually a whole ecosystem of creating, tracking other habits, tracking your food itself, and then combining all of that to improve overall quality of life. And in that breath, I think one theme that's interesting is this theme of combining food with rituals. Because food becomes very powerful if you pair it at maybe with the timing of the day, and it can have differing impacts. What do you think?
No, very true. It is hard, as in a lot of time adherence is a challenge. But I think with consumers becoming a lot more conscious and motivated, it is possible in 5 years out to build outcomes where, let's say, you have a food that goes very well after yoga, or something that you eat when you start intermittent fasting. So where it becomes part of your other lifestyle choices. It is then more stickier also in that sense. And as a consumer, hopefully you also see better outcomes.
Yeah, and this is, it's beneficial on both sides. For a brand, it means that you are improving retention because you are recalled for that particular instance at all points. And for the consumer, obviously, it means that retention for them becomes better.
True. So the next level, I think, from food with rituals is this whole notion of combining wearable food and app. All these fitness band, for the longest of time, they used to only count steps for you. But you look at companies like Whoop, Aura, Apple Watch, they're like predicting your mood. They're telling you what your heart health is, how did you sleep, are you in a lot of tension, should you de-stress, should you take a walk. So very interesting stuff that is happening out there as well.
Yeah. And truly, Rahul, so I've been wearing this, Whoop band for a few months, and it's showing me how different foods and different behaviors are impacting my overall heart rates and lifestyle. So if I drink, let's say, ORS the previous day, then, my recovery score improves. If I do a steam or a sauna, my recovery score improves. So it's very interesting to track these behaviors combined with food as to how it affects your lifestyle. And I know that some startups are taking this tracking to a next level. Like, you have an invasive prick which shows you what your glucose levels look like when you consume different foods. So, today we are just doing the one size fits all for everybody. But maybe diagnostics means that you're combining your biology, your routines with, food lifestyle.
Yeah, and we have recently seen some founders coming up with this full stack longevity clinics. Idea is that I'll be your one-stop shop to tell you how to live. How to eat, how to exercise, how what to do in the gym, what blood tests to do, how do you react to all those blood tests, and so on, and change your lifestyle itself.
Yep. And actually, that brings up a third theme, that even diagnostics today, we are just measuring the basic markers. Like we are measuring vitamin levels, mineral levels, etc. But even testing overall is starting to encompass broader biomarkers. So even things on the deep tech domain, like what your mitochondrial health, for instance, would look like, or what your gut microbiome levels are looking like.
Yeah, and see, diagnostic is one piece. I think these labs are also then telling you how to change stuff, right? So they might give you micronutrients or some supplements. If there is a gut issue, then they'll tell you what to do with it. So again, a case of where starting with diagnostic, but then telling how to change your food or what do you eat itself.
Yep. And again, that comes back to the broader point that diagnostics improving means people are able to tell you on a personalized level exactly what works for you. And even different parameters which we may not even be measuring today, people will be measuring in 2030.
And Shreyan, the last piece I think, and this is truly blue sky thinking, is what can hardware in innovation around hardware do? I'm quite excited. Very hard to predict. But if you think of somebody like Dipinder, a real inspiration, his endeavor with Continue, where he started with Temple, which is basically measuring brain flow. But even thesis like, can gravity or anti-gravity help us to age better or not age much? Those are other interesting pieces that sounds very exciting.
Yeah, and on a similar breath, maybe things like changing how the elevation of your bed is and temperature of your bed is to engineer a deeper sleep. So hardware in all different aspects of life is something that 2030 might hold for us.
Yeah. So, to wrap it up, clearly healthy foods in India just a start. This whole desire to become healthier, live longer, live better. I think we will see, this expand how founders think, what founders build, starting from obviously ingredients and form factors and so on. And I don't think this obsession is coming down at all. As in, we'll only want to, I think this obsession will only grow as people's lifestyle change and so on. So I'm hoping that we'll see a lot more innovation as we look in 2030 as far as the lifestyle of Indians is concerned. And having had all this discussion, I'm hoping also that we'll now stock more protein laddus and so on in our kitchen.
There's no way I'm having protein laddus, Rahul, but definitely excited about what 2030 has to offer.
Great.